So Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It is the first day of Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles, and I'm staying here in Pagosa Springs. My friends, John and Shannon, who I met in San Diego when I interviewed John. Remember, John is the one of the lead investigators in Riverside County. He's been arresting satanic pedophiles for a good 40 years. And I met him when I was in San Diego last winter, and I interviewed him for my channel. And John and Shannon graciously invited me out to Pagosa Springs because they have bought property here when John retires, which he'll be doing soon. But they bought property here, and so they've put me up in this very beautiful bed and breakfast here called El Trace, and it's just gorgeous. It's like a Pacific Northwest lodge, and I'll take you guys outside here just so you can see kind of a view. We're about elevation of about 7,000 feet or so. Can't really see the mountains because the sun's so bright. We're basically surrounded by mountains. Let me actually show you the outside, the front entrance. So today is a high Sabbath because it's the first day, and then the 8th day will also be a high Sabbath, which will be next Monday. But 7 days you're in a sukkah or a temporary dwelling place, and then on the 8th day you come out. We'll be talking about that. But as you can see, it's just a gorgeous place, and just beautiful. It's like it's just a perfect place to be for Sukkot. So, oh, and look who's woken up this morning. John Bailey. He's the guy I interviewed, guys. Check out the interview I did with him. Look at this stonework. And if you come over here, see it's a 2-level chimney, fireplace. Just an absolutely gorgeous place. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the Feast of Sukkot, because some people don't know what this is about. So if you read Revelation 21 and 22, you're going to find out a lot about the Feast of Sukkot. What this was instituted thousands of years ago in ancient Israel, where the Israelites were commanded to live in sukkahs or tents. And John and Shannon, by the way, they've set up this very beautiful tent on their property, a sukkah, and I'll show that later today. But you live in tents for 7 days, and then on the 8th day you come out. And the reason for this is if you go to Revelation 21 and 22, you find out that in the new heavens and new earth, Yah will tabernacle with man. So we've talked about what all the feasts mean, right? And you kind of have to backtrack here, but we talk about Passover. Jesus was crucified as the Passover lamb. On unleavened bread, he was buried. On the Feast of First Fruits, he rose again from the dead. He was the first fruit from among the dead. Then on Pentecost, he poured out the Holy Spirit upon the disciples. Those feasts, when we celebrate them in the spring, they've all been fulfilled. We celebrate them every year to look back on what he's done. And then the fall feasts, we look forward because he hasn't yet fulfilled them. So the Feast of Trumpets, of course, I talked about. That's where we get resurrected. The dead of Messiah rise first, and we who are alive and remain get caught up in the clouds. We get transformed into our new bodies, and we meet Yahshua in the clouds. Yom Kippur is about standing on that sea of fire and glass and receiving our rewards. And then also it'll be fulfilled after the millennial kingdom at the great white throne judgment. Sukkot, the Feast of Sukkot, this wedding feast also has 2 different fulfillments. The first one is when we have the wedding feast of the Lamb, as talked about in Revelation 19, when we're up in heaven. And on that 8th, last great day, we sort of rise up with Yahshua, saddle our horses, and return to earth to put an end to the son of perdition and his reign of terror. And then you have the millennial kingdom for 1,000 years. And if you read in Zechariah 14, it says that during that 1,000 years, all nations will be commanded to go up to Jerusalem to keep the Feast of Sukkot. And if they don't, they won't receive any rain. After that 1,000 years is over, you have the great white throne judgment. And then you have what's known as the new heavens and new earth. And we read about this in Revelation 21, where it literally talks about how as the new Jerusalem descends to this new earth, and this new Jerusalem is 1,500 miles high, 1,500 miles wide, it says that Yah will now tabernacle with man. Because as wonderful as the millennial kingdom will be, where Jesus, Yahshua, will be ruling and reigning, and we'll be ruling and reigning with him on earth, When we get to the 8th millennium, the new heavens and new earth, This is where Yahshua, Jesus, delivers up his kingdom unto his Father, and now the fullness of Yah fills. And this is the time where Paul says, eye has not seen, ear has not heard, mind has not comprehended the things that Yah has prepared for those who love him. So that the new heavens and new earth is going to be totally beyond anything we've ever known or seen. It's going to be an incredible time. And that's why this feast is so important. It's the crown jewel. That's why God commands in like Deuteronomy 16, Leviticus 23, especially in Deuteronomy 16, he commands us to rejoice during this time. He commands us to rejoice. So, John and me and Shannon, we're going to be celebrating. Of course, I'm going to be having my Zoom room prayer meetings every day as we gather, but we're going to be celebrating. I'm going to, hopefully going to go up into a hot air balloon. They have that here in Pagosa Springs. I'm going to do that, and I'll videotape and take you guys with me. We're going to go on hiking trails. Of course, I do have my Q conference down in Albuquerque on Thursday night, so I'll be down in Albuquerque for Thursday. But just a lot of it. There's a hot springs here that we're going to go to, a natural hot springs. So just a lot of beautiful, wonderful things. So I encourage you, if you're new to keeping the Feast of Sukkot, this is a time to live it up. It's party time. You're commanded to rejoice. This is looking toward the new heavens and new earth, where there's no more pain, no more tears, no more crying, no more sorrow. Everything's made new. So I just encourage you all to celebrate this Feast of Sukkot, to rejoice, because this is definitely the most exciting, joyful time of the year. And by the way, this is the season. I believe this is the season when Messiah was born. When they had him born in a manger, that was a sukkah, and so this was a good time of the year to sing all those, quote unquote Christmas songs like "Away in a Manger" and "O Holy Night" and "Hark the Herald Angels Sing." Those songs, which we'll be singing in our Zoom room prayer group during this week. All right, Shabbat Shalom from beautiful Pagosa Springs, Colorado. Shabbat Shalom. John says Shabbat Shalom as well. Happy Sukkot, everybody.